All right, today we're going to dig into two concepts that are really the absolute bedrock of the entire investment world. We're talking about corporate governance and performance standards. At its core, this is all about one thing: making sure the people managing huge piles of money are actually held accountable, and that the numbers they show you are the real deal. So, let's get into it.
I mean, just think about it for a second. You hand over your life savings, your hard-earned money, to some fund manager, and you're trusting them to do the right thing. But how do you know? How is that trust actually enforced? What's stopping them from just showing you a curated highlight reel? That's the big question we're going to unpack today.
You see, the investment landscape has totally changed. We're in this era of absolutely massive institutional investors. We're talking giant pension funds, huge asset management firms. These aren't just small-time players. They're fund management companies, or FMCs, and they own massive chunks of major corporations. And that size, well, it creates a very interesting problem.
Okay, so here's the crucial point, right? If you or I don't like a stock, what do? We just sell it. Simple. But imagine you're a massive fund that owns, say, 10% of that company. If you sell, you could literally crash the stock price, which, of course, hurts your own investment. So they're kind of stuck. They're locked in. When a company they own a huge piece of is underperforming, walking away isn't really an option. Their only move to try and fix things from the inside. And that's where our first big idea comes into play.
So if you can't just sell your shares and walk away, you have to find a way to influence the company. But how do you do that without causing chaos? Well, you do it through something called corporate governance. Think of it as the official rulebook for how a company's top brass is directed and, more importantly, held accountable.
And this definition right here, from the UK's Cadbury Committee back in '92, is pretty much the gold standard. It's so clear. It's not about the day-to-day nitty-gritty business stuff. Nope. It's about the high-level system, the checks and balances, the board, the policies, everything that steers the entire ship.
And this slide just perfectly lays out the difference. Investors, through governance, care about the how. How is the board set up? Do their policies actually help shareholders? They're not trying to be the CEO and decide on, a new marketing slogan. That's management. Governance is the framework. Management is playing the game inside that framework. So these big investors have this tool to influence how companies are run. But here's the thing. It's more than just a tool. It's actually a duty they have to use. This isn't just a friendly suggestion. It's a serious legal and ethical obligation called fiduciary responsibility.
Being a fiduciary means one simple thing. You have to act in your client's best financial interest, period. For a big fund management company, that means you can't just sit on the sidelines while a company you've invested billions in is making bad decisions. You have to use your power, and that power is mainly your voting rights at shareholder meetings to push for better leadership, smarter strategies, and, at the end of the day, better returns for your clients. People like us.
And this idea isn't new, and it's certainly not isolated to one country. Just look at this timeline. You can see it becoming a global movement. It really picked up steam in the 90s in places like the UK and Australia. Then in the US, you had huge pension funds like CalPERS becoming these massive forces for change. And it keeps evolving. By 2012 in Malaysia, the conversation shifted to building a real culture of trust. It's a worldwide standard, and it's always getting better.
Okay, so pillar number 1 is in place, making sure the companies are run well. But that's only half the story, right? There's another huge piece to this puzzle of trust. How do you know if your fund manager is even telling you the truth about how well they're doing?
Look, getting good returns is great, but reporting on those returns fairly and transparently, that's a whole other ballgame. Without strict rules, a manager could easily just show potential clients their 1 or 2 best-performing accounts, making them look like a genius. That gives you a totally warped picture of their real skill. And that's exactly why we need our second pillar: performance presentation standards.
So, to fix this problem, the industry came up with a set of rules. The whole idea is to create a level playing field to make sure every single fund manager calculates and presents their performance the exact same way. That way, you can actually make real apples-to-apples comparisons.
And these 5 elements are pretty much the whole shebang. You've got to use standard ways to calculate returns, present them clearly, disclose all the important stuff, and, this one's huge, get a third party to verify that you actually followed all the rules. But the real secret sauce, the one thing that truly revolutionized everything, is that very first item: composites.
So what exactly is a composite, and why was it such a game changer? Well, before these standards, reporting performance was just the Wild West. Seriously, a manager could waltz in and show you this slick presentation with their one single luckiest portfolio from last year. It's kind of like a musician putting out a greatest hits album with only one song on it. A composite, well, it forces them to show you the whole album. It makes them group all their similar portfolios together. So the performance number you see, it's the average of that entire group. This makes it literally impossible to hide the bad ones and only show off the winners. It completely cleaned up how things were marketed and made sure the track record you see is actually fair. All right, let's pull these two big ideas together. You've got the rules for watching over the companies you invest in on one side. And on the other, you've got the rules for how your fund manager tells you how they did. They're both about one thing, and one thing only: building and protecting trust.
So here's the bottom line. Good corporate governance means your fund manager is being a responsible owner, actively looking out for your investment from the inside. And good performance standards mean you can actually trust the report card they give you. One is about good stewardship. The other is about honest communication. You need both. Okay, so let's do a quick recap. Governance is all about control and accountability at the very top. Investors, especially the big FMCs, have a real duty to act like owners. Standards are what create that level playing field for reporting, and composites are the magic ingredient that stops that cherry-picking nonsense. And really, the whole system, all of it, only works because of transparency and verification.
And that right there is the ultimate takeaway, isn't it? The market's going to go up, it's going to go down, that's just a fact of life. But this whole framework of governance and standards, it's all designed to protect the one asset that is absolutely, positively irreplaceable: the trust between you and the people managing your future.